playing around with the camera. We're going out for a walk today, so go grab your shoes. But this conversation is too hot. We'll just get started even as you put on your shoes and go out. We are talking about life audits. So auditing your life. Yes, you get rid of the clothes you don't use. You clean out your pantry every so often. You've got it made, no? Yeah, sharp girl. And if you don't wear clothes for a year, please get rid of them. There are people who need them. In fact, what's happening if you're not doing that is that you're holding off the blessings which are otherwise due to you. You are accumulating things, and by so doing, then distancing the benefits that would otherwise be yours. So please go get rid of the things that you're not using. But this is a different take, a somewhat different take. I'm already tired and I've just started walking. I've seen somewhere to sit. I don't know how to convince you people that I'm usually very fit. But anyway, let's sit down. It's because this topic is so important. She sits with a heavy sigh. So how do we put this so it's comfortable and I don't need to keep moving it around? So, there we go. Life audits. So, we're talking about friendship. That's actually where I was thinking about today. When's the last time you looked at all the friends that you have and weighed them? Considered which ones you're keeping and which ones you're getting rid of. Why? Look at them. If you met someone in nursery school, you guys have gone through different paths, you've learned different things, and you're not the same people you were then. So from that context, how would you expect to have the same values, to carry the same meaning in life, to want the same things? And if you don't want the same things, then why would you hang around them? It becomes some form of obligation. We get to thinking that since we've known these people for so long, we must stay with them. But no, think of it this way, that it's said that the 5 people you surround yourself with most are the ones who are going to have a dramatic impact on your life. So this person who you actually do not like, there are things about them, there are things they do that don't resonate with you. And yet this is the person you're allowing to stay with you. This is the person you're saying is going to be there for the rest of your life. No, it doesn't have to be that way. So this to tell you, so the question you might ask yourself is, you don't want to be mean. You don't want to be that mean friend. You don't want to be the one that is getting rid of people just. It seems so unfriendly. That is a good girl. That is you being nice. Niceness is this thing where you're doing things for other people more than for yourself. You're more concerned with what benefits them because, in essence, you want to be liked. It is more important for you to be liked than to stand up for yourself. And the reason you want to be liked is that there's something within you that says that you're only valuable based on how much other people like you. Today we have harsh truths. We're not sugarcoating anything. Being a nice girl, a good girl, is actually manipulation. Because you are manipulating other people by showing them the best part of you, the part of you that you feel coalesces with them, that mixes with what it is that they want. So you're putting your best foot forward from their perspective, and so manipulating the feelings that they have for you, because deep down you don't think that you're likable. Sweetheart, you're very likable. I'm here to tell you that the first thing you need to do is to figure out how to like yourself. And it sounds easy, or it may sound hard, but it's not that straightforward. The reason that you have things pulling you back that make you not like yourself as much as you would want to are things that are based in your upbringing, messages that you got, things that you were taught, trauma that you went through. These are big things. They're big things that you're not necessarily aware of. Other people around you are likely more aware of this than you are, because they see how you behave. And this is how you get manipulated by other people yourself, because they can see that you have such a craving and hunger for being liked that you would do almost anything. So how do you get out of that trap? First, you recognize it, and it's difficult. It's painful, but recognizing it is understanding that you have been living a lot of your life for other people. then recognizing within yourself that, look, your life is worthy of living for you. You did not come here to this earth to be singing and dancing to the tune of other people. What about your tune? What about your song? Give yourself the permission to be. Give yourself the permission to do the things you want to do simply because you want to do them. And this is why we are talking about auditing. And now I come back to friends. So these friends have a very big impact on you, whether or not you know it. When you're hanging out with guys who, comfort. When you're hanging out with people who have values that are different from your own, you start either getting away from your own values, meaning that you discount your own values, which is in essence discounting yourself, because values are very deep-seated. Your values are not things that you so much create. It's something that is within you that when you go against it, just feels completely off. So when people are laughing at other people and you don't feel like laughing at other people, but because you are there with them, you just feel that this is what you need to do to fit in, ideally what you're doing is you're betraying yourself. And yourself watches, yourself listens. Yourself is there listening to you and seeing what you're doing. And yourself is saying, if this one doesn't think that we are worth standing up for, that the values that we have are important, other people's values are more important than our own, then we discount ourselves. We don't like ourselves. We do not need to push emotions and feelings and anything that points into a different direction. And then because of that, there you are. You feel in a slump. You don't like your life. You don't like anything. You don't even like your friends. You just feel that life is pointless. You don't know why you're here and you don't know what life is meant to bring for you. And a lot of us find ourselves in that situation, myself included. Everything that I tell you here is based on things that I've experienced myself. So, how? You have this big, insurmountable problem that I've now brought before you, but the solution is easy. There are very many tiny little things that you can do, but today we are starting with friends. An audit of your friends. Go through everybody who you consider a friend. And first of all, classify, demystify the term friend for you. What is a friend? Because then you can have different levels. You can have acquaintances, you can have friends, you can have relatives, you can have family, you can have workmates, you can have different categories of people who surround you, so that the people that you consider your friends become a more tight-knit, a more close-knit group that actually speaks to you. People who make your heart sing when you hang around them. Well, when you hang around them, there's some certain energy that comes to you and you're like, wow, these are the people that I want to hang around. That's really it. Then, once you list them, and I mean actually listing them, just go get a piece of paper and a pen. Write them down, everybody that you know. Then you're going to do a very simple exercise. And that exercise is, you're going to get out of your head. Meaning that instead of thinking about these people, you're going to move your attention into your body, into your heart, into your soul. And you're going to ask your body, what do I feel about this person? Your body will be there like, I don't have my other hands, but I've shown you. They'll be like there, hold my beer. And you'll be going through the list and your body will be telling you that one, this one, yeah, that one. And then you'll come to understand that your body already had a sensation about all these people. Your body could already feel whether or not these people are aligned to you or not. And listen to that message. Listen to that message, and based on the yes and no, just put it into categories, a tick and X, based on people. You don't have to kick them out of your life immediately. But what you can do is that the people who are on the X field, pay a bit more attention or be a bit more cautious when you're hanging around them. These are the people who will steal your husband. These are the people who will stab your back, at work. These are the people who will do such things that will leave you so completely dumbfounded, and you're like, but we were friends. These things happen all the time. Don't become the one who is just surprised that the world is not nice. It's you being ready for what these people can do to you, based on having listened to yourself and your intuition and your gut, which already knew, will make you less surprised. And so maybe you'll be less trusting of them, and maybe you'll spend less time with them because you already know that there's something there that is off. Then the other big step, which is something I did fairly recently, and I'm quite proud of myself, but it was quite a feat, is deleting people from your phone. I actually got this idea from another friend of mine. When I initially did this activity, the one I've just given you, that was maybe 4 years ago or something like that. All I did is that I went through my phone and I just put a mark next to these people's names. But what another friend of mine told me is delete. Delete. Just delete their numbers. It's okay, delete. Don't be available to hang out with them. And no is a complete sentence, but if you're using baby steps and just now trying to figure out how to set out boundaries, you can always say that I'm not available to do that. You don't have to explain yourself. Come, let's go to the concert. I'm not available. You don't need to explain what you're doing instead. And what this is doing, once you start building these boundaries with other people and choosing you, choosing your values, choosing what feels good for you, as opposed to what you think or know or dash, going back into your body and engaging with your feeling, what happens is your body now starts realizing, aha, this one is listening to us, this one trusts us. Then your body starts becoming more engaged. Because that's the thing in life, we spend a lot of our time in our heads. And being in our heads means that we don't feel our way through life. We lose touch with our intuition. We lose touch with ourselves, with our higher selves, our truer selves, our divinity, with consciousness. We fall asleep. We just go through life as if it were a task, a duty, on autopilot. We are not even thinking about the things we are doing because the system already knows how to do them. But once you engage your consciousness, you have the time to sit in the sun and recognize the sun. Recognize the immensity of the value of being able to have the sun's rays on your skin. You slow down. You slow down, and all these things that have been troubling you and affecting you in your day-to-day become less important. Because in the grand scheme of things, making it in time for that meeting is not as important as whether or not the sun comes up for another year. Yeah? Or whether or not you get to sit in the sun for a year. So this slowing down, it changes your perspective on what is important. And how priceless is that? Isn't that really what we all want? To be able to be more connected to ourselves. And there's really a route to that. And this is one route that I've proposed. Look at your friends, clean them out, and be the villain. You're used to being the good girl. So let them sit around and talk about you and say, oh my God, she's so evil, she's so terrible, daddy, 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 da. Let them. There's that book by Mel Brooks. Let them. Whatever they say and whatever they think about you is none of your business. They're allowed to. And what is your business is you. Stand up for you. Be that person be that rarity, that gem who considers themselves a gem and stands up for themselves. It's very cringe to admit this, but sometimes when I see a couple, an interracial couple, a black man with a white woman, or rather a black woman with a white man, I feel that the white man has settled. It sounds even terrible. My stomach is churning as I say it. But it's something that I have to admit to myself. I feel every once in a while when I see this. And the fact that that is something that my system reacts to, it's like a knee-jerk reaction when I don't question it, tells me that there's something within me that hates me, that feels that I am less than. Yeah? And this is the internalized racism. This is the messaging that I've received through years and years and years of socialization and TV and colonialism and slavery and all these things that happened even before I was born. How my continent was raped. How the leaders who lead my own country today are still sticking to these things that we were taught way back when. We still have the education system that teaches us that white people are superior to black people. So through all of these things that have been within my life over time, I have internalized the messaging. And how it shows up is sometimes I look at a happy couple having the time of their life, and that is a message that comes to me, that the black person is less, the white person has settled. Sometimes I look at interracial kids and I tell myself that this is the betterment of the two. I used to think that that is a good thing. I used to tell myself that that is a good message because it is taking the good from the white and the good from the black and mixing it together and providing us with a mixed child. And what I've told myself now is, why does the black need to be improved? Yeah? So it's this messaging that's really, really, really deep inside. And it's difficult to get to when we don't stop and pause and ask ourselves why we react this way to the things that we react to. So I'm working on it. It's work in progress. Whenever I see these situations, I arrest them. I ask myself, I slow down. And I ask myself, why is that my reaction? Why is that the message that I have internally? And that tells me that I need to do some inner work. I need to go back internally within myself and clean up this self-hatred. And whenever it happens, I need to go back. I go back to find the messages that are inside me. I go back to clean up the generational curses. There's a book called The Emotion Code that tells you how to remove these emotions that are inside you. I highly recommend it. And it's a continuous process of doing and doing and doing. And now I feel like I have more occasions of seeing interracial couples and just smiling as opposed to reacting. Food for thought. So, continuing on our audit trail, today we are talking about emails and messages. You know, the other day I was looking at my emails and I found my Google mailbox, which I've had for quite some time. And I found that I have like 14,000 messages. 14,000 messages. These are messages that I've carried over years and years and years. I went through it and I found that there were even messages from exes and those people who you don't really want to think about, leave alone feel that you have any connection to. I found quite a number of them there, and I was just in shock and awe. I've moved around quite a lot, so I found messages from these other countries, like the shops, the online stores and stuff like that that are connected to these other countries. And I was very devastated to find one from there's a guy who I dated very shortly, and I'd bought him gifts. So it used to just keep sending me a reminder. The shop used to send me a reminder that it is his birthday. My God. The thing that happens is that these connections remain. These messages provide their own kind of connection to us. And we don't realize it, but what it does is that it impacts our energy. Even if you don't read the messages, even if they're just there sitting, that means that there is a part of you that remains connected to these people and to the past. And that's really not wholesome, is the word I'd use. Because your energy is yours, first of all. So to continue having ties to these people through these energetic links that you're not even aware of is sapping away at energy that you could be using to create your best life, your dream life, to have everything that you've ever wanted in front of you, but you're not able to access it. Why? Because of energy that is leaking from you. So today, that's the trick. Today the trick is to go through emails. And the thing is that I realized yesterday actually that I have some other mailboxes. I have mailboxes that I use to get these emails when I sign up to things, and then they always just want to keep sending reminders. So it goes to those inboxes. But I realized that the first email I ever created is still alive and has never been cleaned up. So that's now my next activity. Delete, delete, delete. I am deleting and calling back my energy because the energy is mine, and with that energy I can do wonderful and beautiful things. Do the same. Your WhatsApp messages, your phone messages, your anywhere that you have messages that link up to your past. Disconnect yourself from the past, because the past is past. The past is no longer here. The thing, even with pictures actually, these pictures that we have on our phones that just keep taking us back and back and back. What I did some time back is that I got an external drive and I started saving pictures there and releasing the pictures that are on my handset, on my phone. And what that would do is that I wouldn't have as easy an access to be able to go and see things that I was doing 7 years ago. Because with cloud nowadays, that's very possible. The real reason, and I'll be honest with you, the real reason that I did it is that I was unhappy paying for cloud, paying for the cloud. I thought it was a scam. And I still think it is a scam, but more so now to the extent that it keeps you tied to the past. You can have this access, and there are wonderful places that you can actually go and print albums, because that's one of the things that I've been thinking of doing. Print albums for like different vacations and stuff like that. So pictures, the way we used to have them back in the day. Real pictures that you can look at. So the day that you decide you want to see that time you went wherever, go pick the physical album and scroll through the pictures, as opposed to having all this connection to the past within your phone that again ties you down. Yeah, so that's something I still need to do. It's tedious. It's a lot of work to go through all the pictures and do this, but it's freeing. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for greater freedom. And you can absolutely get this as well through exactly this practice. Let's do this, cleaning up our digital spaces and calling back our energy. Because imagine what all of us could do if we could call back just even a fraction of the energy that is today tied to our past and tied to things gone. Let's do this. Let's free ourselves, free our energy, and be available for so much more. Moving from one level of consciousness to the next is a challenge to your ego. Your ego is used to you being the person that you are. If you're the party animal, which is what I used to be, my ego was used to me using partying and the party lifestyle as a means for denying myself the time to sit and commune with myself and to engage more with the divinity within me and to get more grounded in myself, in my purpose, and in my true nature. And then I'd go partying, and then I'd come back, and then I'd be too tired, and then I'd sleep, and then the story within my head would be that I'm busy. I'm very busy at work, I'm very busy at home, even with housework, I'm very busy XYZ. And whenever I'd have a free moment, then I'd go partying, because then I needed that as the release from all this busyness that I have been doing in my day-to-day. So I changed that, and it started with small steps. The small steps were actually taking like 15 minutes in silence, something just that small. And for me, it was very cringe. No TV, no phone, no nothing. Just sitting around and being calm and quiet, sitting with my thoughts. And initially, though it was very, very terrible and horrible, in time, it became peaceful. It became calm. I started noticing things like even just around the house, there were plants. So I started really engaging with these plants and looking at the intricacies of how they look and how beautiful they are. And that was really some kind of connection with life. I then became more connected with that life, which is the plant, the life that is my pets, and that gave me access to the life that is me. Because life is life. And through that, I calmed down, I quieted down, and the call that was there to be busy all the time was not as loud. And it didn't have as much access towards me. And with that, I was able to awaken a little more, be more conscious, be more connected to my higher self, be more connected to my divinity, and then stop seeing the world as this horrible place that is just out to misuse me. And what happened more recently is that I got an opportunity to hang out with some group of friends. So I'm always seeking out community. And this group of friends were people who were very party lifestyle oriented. And I came to realize later that then this was a test for me. Because what happens when you are within this process of changing from the person who you used to be, your body fights it. Your ego fights it. Your system is not comfortable. Your ego thinks you're going to die. So based on that, it creates opportunities that will take you back to be the person that it is used to you being. And I had to catch myself and recognize it. Because yes, I was really happy to be hanging out with these people, and they were fun people, very fun people. But then it took some time for me to stop and pause and realize and look at it more critically and understand that this is not the direction that the higher me has for me. This is not where I see myself hanging out in the future. And then because of that, I had to turn away from the group. There are different ways of doing this, and it's not even, it can feel difficult for you, because much as you know as it's something that's better for you, it just feels like there's a craving within you, because that is what a part of you actually still wants. But then you just need to make the decision. Who do you want to be? Who are you choosing? Are you going to choose this future that you have envisioned for yourself? Or are you going to choose the past that you were used to and were disgruntled in when you were there? So just to let you know that it's a process. It's a process, and yes, sometimes you will go back to the previous version of yourself, but there's always opportunity for you to strive forward, because you have seen you have seen the promised land, as it were. You have seen that there is an opportunity for more for you. So don't beat yourself up if, yes, you backslide, and all these religious terminologies. If you backslide into that previous version of yourself, and don't be unhappy with your ego for wanting to take you back there. It's only that your ego is interested in you living, and it believes that that is the only way for you to live. So have a peaceful stance when you're contemplating all of these things. Enter into the stillness through which you can have access to yourself, and forgive yourself, and forgive life, and forgive people, forgive your ego, and don't forget to notice the small things and to slow down. We carry on the journey of auditing, self-audits. And this one is dear to my heart, and we audit content. Look at the content that you are consuming. Books, movies, music, YouTube, social media. Look at the content that is available to you, the things that you consume. And understand that when we say that the 5 people who you surround yourself with are the ones that you become most like, that includes social media content. So if you're always, I'll give my own example. I was completely addicted to, what are they called? True crime, the movie shows, but before that, the murder mysteries, the books. I used to absolutely love them and devour them, and I read and I read and I read and I read. And in fact, it is that graduated to become the true crime addiction. And I watched and I watched and I watched and I watched. And it took someone telling me, and this is someone that I was following on social media, on YouTube, saying that this is an unhealthy habit. It had never crossed my mind as anything as such. I just thought that this is what I do for entertainment. It is an unhealthy habit to the extent that it makes you think that the world is unsafe. And I was completely flabbergasted. And in fact, there's also another friend of mine who actually told me that. Because he was giving me, we were talking about something, and I was saying how I would never do that because it's unsafe. And he looked at me and wondered, why would that be my go-to? And then that is when I started realizing that these things have an actual impact on my life. So I'll give another example from the Kenyan context. A lot of the radio shows that I used to listen to were very misogynistic. So all these radio hosts who talk about women as less than, women being less than. And we are told that this is the traditional setup in the African traditional society, the woman was small. And because there's really no alternative voice, I began to believe that. And I didn't realize that this was seeping into my subconscious and teaching me that I was less than. And this belief of being less than is something that then bleeded out into my dating experience, because that's what I was doing. Being less than meant that I was the one trying to get picked. I was the good girl trying to do everything that a good wife should do, trying to become wife material, because that's what I was hearing on those shows. So all of this just to give the example that the media you're consuming is super important. And you need to keep auditing your algorithm. What does it send you? There's a time I was only interested in watching things that were entertaining, that were funny. But then I also needed to relook at what I considered funny, because sometimes it is some underlying message that is not that wholesome. So audit, look at what your algorithm is sending you and change it. Don't spend as much time, don't spend any time watching the things that are not aligned to the person that you're trying to become. You have your vision. Your vision is in the future. You're seeing the higher version of yourself. And that is a version of you that you're working towards. So is it worth having this laugh, this couple of jokes, this couple of minutes laughing at this joke that is bad? Not bad, bad is the wrong word. That is not wholesome. Laughing at things that bring you down more than they raise you up. You need to remember that your vibration, your energy level is what is going to get you to your higher self. And if you keep being dragged down by these things that used to be you, that you used to find entertaining, then you shall never get there. There you go, food for thought. Let's now go into another audit area. All you're doing now is auditing and auditing. And now let's talk about auditing your job. So let's start at the beginning. How did you end up there? Is this the dream career that you always had for yourself? It's everything that you always wanted to do. This is it. This is perfect. Or is it that this is where you ended up, just where life ended up? This is where you found yourself. You wake up every day in the morning and you go. And let's talk about that. When you're waking up every day in the morning, how do you feel about the prospects of going to work? And let's take this beyond the everyone complains and life is about complaining and woe is me. Let's take this to how you actually feel. Is there some excitement about some of the work that you're going to be doing? Are there tasks that make you happy? Are there people that you're pleased to see? Is your workplace a place bursting full of high-value people that just make your life better? Is it the opposite? Do you dread going to the workplace because of the people, because of the work, because of your boss? Look at this and audit your feelings, and take a journal, take a piece of paper and pen and write down. The virtue of journaling is that there are things that come out that would not otherwise be known to you. There are things that come out when you're writing that are deeper, that are from a more subconscious level. So once you've done this activity, ask yourself, do you like there? Do you like being there? Do you like the work? Do you like the job? And if your answer is yes, wonderful, amazing, carry on. If your answer is no, then you have some more questions to ask yourself. If your answer is no, are the things that you don't like about it things that you can fix? Because it could be just some workmate who you need to speak to differently, and then they shall behave in a different way that will give you a different perspective and a different dynamic. If that can work, let's do that. If there are things like that, if they're solvable things, maybe you have a disagreement with your manager and maybe it's just standing up for yourself. Perhaps you've never set boundaries. Perhaps you've been the good girl who everyone sends all their work to. So figuring out how to set the boundaries so that you're no longer that person and can more enjoy being at work. So those are solvable things. So see the things which are solvable or the things which are not. Perhaps there's something fundamental about that workplace that just does not fit for you. And if that is the case, you really need to think about leaving. Leaving is not as easy as just picking up and going away. I probably don't need to tell anyone that. But if there is something fundamental about it that just does not align with you, take it seriously. Because this has it can impact your health. It can impact you in such great ways that it's not something that you should take for granted. You spend such a huge percentage of your life at work that it needs to be something that aligns with you. So figure out, does it align with you? What can you do? What steps can you take? And if you find that it's a situation that can't be helped, then figure out an exit strategy. It could be that you find yourself another job. It could be that you find yourself a business. It could be that you take time to ponder your life and find yourself, which is a bit more of what I am doing. And it could be that you have a voice within you that is guiding you, which is actually what I've done. You have a voice within you, your divinity, your inner self guiding you and telling you what to do. and telling you that this is no longer for us. It was great when it was, but it is no longer it. There's something bigger and better for you. And if that's the case, follow that voice. Listen to the guidance, the nudges, the little guidance, the knowing, what it tells you to do, and follow that. And it's challenging to the extent that a lot of people will not understand what you're doing. Most people will think that you're crazy, and that's okay. But more importantly, you might think that you're crazy. It might not be most people, it might be you projecting the fears that you have on others. So be conscious of that and be conscious of what you're doing. Do it with your internal eyes open so that you don't find yourself wondering and complaining and worse off. But choosing yourself, this is part of the audit. This is why we're auditing. Choosing yourself means that if you find that the work situation is not working for you, you adapt, you make changes. You don't just accept it and woe be you and spend the rest of your life complaining and saying this is such a terrible place that I find myself, woe is me. You do something about it. You take an active step, you change it. And this is power that is within you. So we carry on with the audit. All the best. Hey, my good people. We are still auditing. We are going through a life audit. And today we are talking about auditing your time. What do you do with your time? Do you know? So your day has 24 hours and in most of it you're busy. Fine. But what are you busy doing? And more importantly, these things that you are doing, how do they make you feel? Do they make you feel better or worse? There's something that I read somewhere called self-value points. Self-value points are just the points, if you have a set of 10 points, it's the points that you're putting towards valuing yourself more or less. Those are your self-value points. So these activities that you're doing too, are they feeding up your feeling of self-worth, your self-value, or are they dragging it down? And the way to know this is just to figure out how they make you feel. It's an activity, because again, it's an audit. Audit means that you need to gather data. So to gather the data, what you do is that you put a reminder on your phone every 2 hours or so. And in that point, you just write down whatever it is you're doing. And you put a tick or a cross based on whether it makes you feel good, tick, X if it doesn't make you feel good. And what this activity will do it for at least 2 days. And what will happen is that you'll start seeing a pattern. More than 2 days is fine. I think I did it for maybe a week. And I put reminders on my phone to just let me know when I need to be checking what it is that I'm doing. And within that time, I started seeing the pattern of the things that make me feel better, elevated, my self-worth feels more, and down, and drags down how I feel. And the point with these things is that your feeling of self-worth and your self-value, it has a snowballing effect. Once you have this one thing that makes you feel bad, then you just tend to add on more and more things that you make you feel worse and worse and worse. And you don't notice it happening, especially if you don't know the things that it is, the things that make you feel a certain way. So this is an audit that is helping you take charge. Take charge of how you feel about yourself. Imagine that. All these little tricks that are available just to you. You do not need to be going out and getting drunk to feel better about yourself. Why? Because you do not need to let these things accumulate over time once you know what they are. So what you do is that you arrest them. You arrest them when you take note of them. Like, I'll give you an example. For me, one of the things that I realized make me go down, make me feel down, is scrolling on social media. So this mindless scrolling, because it's addictive. You have one thing that's funny and then you go on to the next and then you go on to the next. And before you know it, you've been sitting on the toilet for 3 hours scrolling through social media. But then I came to realize that when I was coming out, or even when I was within that cycle, I wasn't feeling good. So then I came to realize that I need to limit. I don't need to stop, but I need to limit the amount of time that I am scrolling on social media. So look at these things, look out for these things for yourself. And the same is, of course, true of the things that make you feel good. Whatever it is that is making you feel wonderful and amazing and confident, do more of it. And you shall have more of that feeling. These are the self helping tricks that can help you feel better about yourself. And this is why we are doing our audit, to make life better. I'm going to say this one because it bears saying. In our list of things to audit, the other thing that we need to audit is our family. Our family members, yes, we are born with them, that's how they are. But it could be that there are people within your family who are toxic to you, and interaction with them is harmful to you. And this could be whoever. It could be that distant cousin, it could be your mother. Regardless of the case, you need to look at it and understand that it has an impact on you, because as we said, it's the people who you're surrounding yourself with that have an impact on your life. So if this is a family member who you're constantly around and is constantly putting you down, with your big age, you need to make the decision of moving away from that sphere of influence. You do not have to be suffering because you were biologically connected to these people. There is an option for you to choose the people who resonate more to you as true family, the people who resonate with your values and do the things that you feel are more aligned to you. And there should be no shame in that. It's difficult, especially from an African concept where you're told that all these people who are around you must always be around you. But that distant cousin who doesn't know your second name and is always just there asking for money or stuff like that, you don't need to stay with that. You have the option. It is well within your right to ask for more, to choose you. To choose you. And now that we're touching on money, that's also quite a topic, because sometimes you have all these families or family friends and all these people who we feel tied to, especially from a contribution perspective, and it's a lifelong thing. And I mean, this is your permission. If you're looking for permission, this is your permission to tell you that you don't have to do anything that you do not want to do. So anything that is not aligned to yourself. Because it could be that you are the one who gives and gives and gives, and when you have issues, no one is giving to you. Don't feel tied to these bounds that are beyond you. You do you. Let's audit your shopping habits. After working for 20 plus years, are you still the one who's always running for the sales? Will you never buy something unless it is second hand or it is a deal? Is that the only thing that you allow for you? I ask this question to make you think, and let me help you in the thinking process, because this was also me. Part of the reason for this, for me anyway, was that I grew up at a time when things like clothes in Kenya were not easily available, and the best quality was always secondhand. So based on that, secondhand shopping became the norm, and to a great extent it still is today. The message that gave me is that good things are not for me. That I am not available for new things. New things are for other people. I take what has been discarded. And this would show up in my life in the way that sometimes I wouldn't have, I'd always only ever shop on things which are on sale first. But even at home, the things that I would wear would be the socks that have a hole, or the things that are not decent enough for wearing outside, but are not that worn off, so they can still be worn. And then because I did not consider myself as that super valuable, just by being me, then I allowed that if it is just for me, I shall have less. So the people outside were allowed to see a higher version of me, the one who would dress up and the one who would at least try. But the private version of me always had less. At home, I would be just. And if you resonate with this, again, it's not your fault. You have your own story and you have your own path that might have taken you there. And the point is to recognize it and do something about it. Do something special for yourself just for being yourself. And what this does is that it elevates your value of you to you, which is like the number one most important thing that you can do. Because once you start valuing yourself, you are able to access the divinity within you. Because if you do not value yourself, how can you possibly think that there is divinity in you, that God has chosen you, that just by factor of being born, you are awesome and amazing? The stories that we've been told throughout our lives do not necessarily give us access to this. And yes, you may go to church, and yes, you may at some level believe that you're godly or you're great or you're whatever. But unless internally you have this conversation with yourself and you allow yourself to be important to you, all that remains just lip service. And it shows in your external life because you attract the kind of things that you expect for yourself. The life that you're living is an accumulation of the things that you have come to feel you are allowed to have. So do the small things. Make yourself tea. The other day I discovered I went somewhere and they had tea with real mint. And no, it didn't have tea real mint. The tea bag had some mint in it. So I told myself how wonderful this was, and I went and bought myself real mint leaves and then had that tea, and I just thought that that was super amazing. And it's just these small things that we do that romanticize our lives to ourselves and tell us that we are important. And once we start believing that, we have access to the greatness within ourselves and we can live the life that we are actually meant to be living here. I found myself a little swing contraption, and I'll take this one to audit. Our conversation on auditing goes on, and we talk about auditing your relationship with time. Are you always chasing time? Is there never enough? But more to the point, are you always in the past and in the future? The first time I heard about this, I was quite surprised. I didn't know about this concept. And it's the idea that anything that you're looking forward to is based on your past experience of something similar. So you ate chocolate when you were 3 and you really, really liked that chocolate. So a neural pathway was created in your mind that said, that is wonderful, that is good. So whenever you're about to eat chocolate, you are at the present moment reaching out to the past to tell you what that future experience of eating chocolate is going to be like. So even while you're eating the chocolate now, you might not really be in the experience because you have the foregone conclusion that this is going to be great. So you don't spend that much time tasting it. Maybe the first bite you taste, then after that you just let it go because you you don't need to be there. You already know that this is a wonderful experience and you get lost in your mind and in time. And this is true for everything. You have this for vacations. You're planning this great vacation that's going to happen at the end of the year. And you spend all your time now contemplating how wonderful and amazing it will be when the end of the year comes and you can go on that vacation based on a previous vacation that you had before or a previous experience. And if the vacation is a week long, you probably spend a lot of time during that week not really there. You might be there to some extent, yes, because there are new things that you're doing and there are new experiences. But you might also be truly lost in your mind and just doing the things that you're used to doing. I'll give you an example of myself. There's a podcast that I really, really used to love listening to at some point back. And I traveled somewhere within Europe and I was doing a lot of walks because I was going around and just seeing things, and it was a little cold. So I spent all my walking time listening to the podcast. So listening to the podcast is something that I could have done when I was at home and something that I did do. So I was moving back to the familiar while out adventuring. So instead of spending my time noticing what was happening in the now that was then, noticing what was going on around me, the sense, the experiences, the roads, the language, the people, and all that kind of thing, I was stuck in my head, stuck in my past, because my past experience was that that podcast was really, really good. So all of this for you to question yourself. And in fact, I'll give you another example, which is work. So you spend your time working, looking forward to retirement, because it is at the point when you retire that you shall get to live. In fact, an even bigger example is religion. I'll just stick to Christianity and say that you live this life because of the promise of the greater good that comes in the afterlife. So this life is for suffering, and you're agreeable to that, you shall suffer now, because at some after death is when the promise shall be fulfilled. I say all this to bring your attention to it. We're auditing our lives. If this is how you've been living your life, take pause. Take pause and stop and be still and notice the now. Notice this moment where there is that bird singing out. Notice this moment that you're in now listening to me. There's a reason that you're tuned into this particular video. Ask yourself why.